Powered by Fantasyverse. Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
Welcome to a very special edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club for the home of pop culture positivity. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative Editor-in-Chief. To my left, you're right at home. He is the head of our wrestling division, and he's also one of our featured comic editors. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only Rich.
It is that time of the year again. It is time to talk about New York Comic Con. Of course, I ain't missing this for anything. Of course, I won't miss the recap either, but let's just be honest. I'll have a lot more energy now than I will then. So enjoy the energy before we kick it out over to the last member of the panel. And of course, because it's in his contract, he does his own introduction.
An idea straight from the ODPH studios. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative pop culture connoisseur. And I just want to say thank you very much to Rich for guest co-hosting on last night's episode of Play for Keeps. Mickey was on assignment. We can't say where, but it was in a different sector. But thank you for stepping in. It was a blast having you on.
I mean, we can say he was trying to storm Area 51 again. It happens from time to time.
Again.
Happens again. I just want to stress the word again. But once again, we got to talk New York Comic Con last night too, so check that out. That's all about the collectibles and stuff.
That it is the thing that you get your hands on.
Right, but this edition of Turn a Page is devoted strictly to previewing the comic book convention of the year. Always our favorite one to go to. New York Comic Con is taking place this weekend, October 9th through the 12th at the Javits Center in New York City. For more information on that, NewYorkComicCon.com. That is where all this information you're getting is cited from. And the panels coming this year. There's a lot to break down in the world of comics, so you need to know where to go. We're here to guide you, and you don't want to miss this because obviously New York Comic Con has been a staple for pop culture since 2006. It's scary to think it's been around that long, but every year it's gotten better and better. I'll start with you, Rich. When you're thinking New York Comic Con, what are you looking forward to the most to go see?
I mean, are we talking about just generally every year? I mean, every year it's kind of the same. I love hitting up Artist Alley and getting to walk around and see all the greatest artists and creators and everything else that's going on down there, chat with people we know and we've, become comfortable with. That's just a personal side, but also just if you don't go to Artist Alley, I don't know what you're doing con all wrong. I just want to throw that out there. Of course, the floor itself is always an amazing place to be, except for on Saturday. I said it. Do not set up appointments across the building on a Saturday. That's never going to help you out, Eddie. It'll change your life. But yeah, Tom does those things. Sounds crazy. But outside of that, of course, the panels are always amazing to go to. You get to hear some real candid stuff, some real awesome stuff, like just pretty much everything about con. And shout outs to New York Comic Con, because once again, they haven't said exactly what they will be live streaming, but they will be live streaming some of the events. So go over to the website, check out their live stream listing for the weekend. Of course, little shameless self-promotion for us. Make sure you stay tuned to everything Nerd Initiative, because we got things coming across every platform. But trust me, it's just an exciting time of the year. Tom, what is your favorite part about the con?
It feels like a homecoming, quite honestly. We've been going down there for several years now. You guys have had the opportunity to go as fans. I've had the opportunity to go as press my entire time, but it still does feel like it's something comfortable. You get to connect with other content creators, or again, the artists and whatnot. So it does feel a bit like a homecoming. There's some comfortable things like, oh, hey, I know this booth is going to be there, this booth is going to be there, but then at the same time, the anticipation of finding out what we're going to get when we get down there, just like all these wonderful panels and all this fantastic comic book stuff, it's a little bit same and a little bit different, and that's the joy in it.
I kind of want to pose this question because I know it's Ken's turn before, but it's kind of a correction, but it does actually go into what I'm going to ask Ken. I have never been down there as a fan. I've always been down there as press. Ken has, though. And I'm interested to hear the differences. What do you always look forward to, from your time as being a fan and going to New York Comic Con, and now over the last bunch of years as we've been pressed down?
It's been a real interesting journey in that aspect, because the first time I got down there, it's very overwhelming. And just with how much fandoms you meet and you see and you interact with, and it really creates that community that I think we're all looking for as being fans. And then making that transition to the behind the scenes, if you will, by going as press. And we get a lot of opportunities to talk to creators, talk to different publishers, talk to different businesses there. And getting that aspect, it gives you a different perspective and a different view of what we're all trying to see. But it's all the same vision, because you want to go there, you want to make that connection one way or another and really grow your fandom of whatever it is, a new show, new comic, new product, whatever the case is, and really get the best of both worlds from both the fan side and the business side of things. And I think that's always been something, now being on the press side of the coin, if you will, it's always an interesting view to see, but it's one to see that they're just as passionate as we are. It's just different titles involved.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, when you say that, it's funny because we did separate it, but there is a thing to being a professional and having to make content. And there's a work aspect to it, a lot of work, a lot of things on the schedule. However, at the end of the day, we're all still fans. So like, you're still you're just a fan with privileges is what I'm going to say. It sounds kind of weird.
No, but that's an easy way to put it,
but with an expected amount of work, because it's a lot of work. So, I mean, to anybody who's out there, who's watching us, who is in like, the content creating sphere or attempting to be, I always say, go for it and just throw your hat in the booth, but just be prepared. New York Comic Con is an entirely different beast when you're going there as a professional than any other convention.
Yes.
With the exception of probably San Diego and C2E2, which are probably on the same level. Unfortunately, I have not been to those yet, but those are on the list to go to next. But yeah, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's a whole nother level, but why not throw it out there?
It is. It really, truly is. It's just a wonderful thing. And either way, whatever way you're able to get there, whether it's a 1-day pass, 2-day pass, 3-day pass, 4-day pass, get there, get the experience, because it's like none other that you've ever had before. The sense of community is there. The sense of belonging is there. This is where the Fringe gets to be the top dog in some aspects. So the cosplay community, I mean, we could go on and on.
Yeah, there's so many
much
elements that are involved with going to the con, and you're going to wind up meeting, if you get the chance to go, you're going to wind up meeting a lot of friends and really growing that bond and that fandom that you love, and you're there to celebrate. And then even if you're watching at home, you still are interacting, because there's a lot of news coming that you can get on the social media and start talking to your fellow fans about. So it's just really about a great community building experience, and New York Comic Con does it better than everybody, in my opinion. So that is why tonight we are breaking down everything you need to know about New York Comic Con 2025. And there's a lot of panels that definitely have our attention. Kicking off is one very close to Rich's heart, because we're taking a look at the team from Tiny Onion and Image Comics, and the book that, Rich, you really are in love with, and that's Exquisite Corpses, but they're doing the game, so let's talk about it.
That's right. When they launched Exquisite Corpses earlier this year, they mentioned that there would be a game that's going to go along with it. So here we are getting it, New York Comic Con. They did unveil and say different things, but it will be the first time they're really, really showing it off. So Exquisite Corpses, the game, live play, and panel will be starting at 5:15 on Friday the 10th. It's going to 6 p.m. And the location room is 408. The notes from the con is Exquisite Corpses co-creators James Tynan IV and Michael Walsh are joined by Tiny Onion director of production Courtney Menard and production manager Diana Avila for a live demonstration of the Exquisite Corpses TCG, along with a discussion of what it's been like to build the game. Fans can play an early version now with game cards collected from the polybagged variant editions of the comics ahead of Exquisite Corpses, the game, being released next year. This will be moderated by Hector Navarro. This is a great book. If you're not reading Exquisite Corpses, it is a great concept. It is a horror book where basically Tynan and Walsh are overseeing, writing and art respectfully, but each issue they bring in a different writer and a different artist to put their spin on the story. So it's kind of going in a weird way. And if you haven't been reading the book, I suggest you go out and grab it, because it's one of the best on the market today. And this game, with what the book is about, is probably going to be top tier and top notch as well.
Yeah, this is a very interesting concept to do for it, especially you're seeing more of the games now coming out after the comics. And we see this with the Massiverse and their fighting card game. So this is something really cool to check out. And like I say, to see the live play, this is going to be one I think fans are going to be very excited about. Tiny Onion is not done there. Tom, they got a big panel going on Sunday, the 12th. Let's talk about it.
Sunday at 11:15. You're going to have the frights and delights of the queer horror comics. That's right. From classic monster movies like The Bride of Frankenstein to modern hits like The Babadook and The Substance, horror has been beloved by the queer community. Join creators Tate Bromball, Che Grayson and Tiny Onion talent manager Greg Lockhart as they chat about their favorite queer media and their own works of LGBTQIA plus horror in this fan favorite Tiny Onion panel moderated by Sammy the Monster.
Yeah, this is going to be a very cool panel to go to if you're in attendance on Sunday. A lot of great stories are coming out that I think people definitely need to hear about. Everything Dead and Dying is one that I know has got a lot of buzz right now, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic read. So if you're available on Sunday, you definitely want to go check that out. Image is not done there, though.
No.
They have a very big panel going on Thursday, 2 p.m., The Future of Comics. So this is one going off the press release. Step inside the world of creator-owned comics with some of the most exciting voices shaping the future of the medium. Join Casper Wingard from the Power Fantasy, Chris Condon from News of the Fallout, Marjorie Liu from Monstrous, and Dennis Camp from Assorted Crisis Events for an unfiltered conversation about breaking the rules, building worlds, and telling stories that only they can create. Expect behind-the-scenes stories, sneak peeks at up-and-coming projects, and plenty of insight on how these creators' own spirits keep Image at the forefront of the industry. And this lineup right here, absolutely stacked too. Dennis Camp is doing some of the best work in all of comics. If you have not read Assorted Crisis Events, that is a mind-blowing experience. I can't speak highly enough about that.
I was going to say I'm privileged enough that I've covered both Assorted Crisis Events and News from the Fallout, so I'm very familiar with Chris Condon and Dennis Camp's work. Both phenomenal at what they do. This is going to be a great one to go to. Last year, the Image panel, which was basically this one from last year, it launched some great stuff. We got to see the Horizon experiment came out of that. So did it, Bug Wars, amongst other things. Lucky Devils also, yes. So like, they usually come with their A game. They usually announce a lot of big things. So if you're looking to what Image is going to be doing over the next year, this is the panel where you're going to find out. Plus, like I said, you're going to hear from some really great up and coming writers and artists in the Image has in their lineup. And it's just a phenomenal time. So I suggest this one highly if you're going to be there on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday has got a stacked lineup of stuff too. But this panel, like I say, if you're really into the behind the scenes about some of the most creative books on the market, this is going to be one you want to see. We're going to get back to Image in a little bit, but there's one that I know Rich is dying to talk about. This is Speed Racer time, and let's talk about it.
Go Speed Racer Go. The return of an icon is also going on at Thursday at 2:30 p.m. That's why me and Ken will be splitting our time here because I will be in attendance for this because I cannot wait to IDW doing the Lord's work here with the Speed Racer. Or sorry, Mad Cave. I just say I did IDW. I'm thinking ahead because I see the Godzilla thing on the screen. You guys can't see that yet, but you know.
Yeah.
Start your engines and buckle up for a high-octane deep dive into the legendary world of Speed Racer. Join the creative team behind the brand new Speed Racer comic series from Mad Cave Studios as they discuss reimagining one of the most iconic anime and manga properties of all time for a whole new generation of fans. The panelists will be Chris Bautista, David Pepos, Mark London, and Mark Russell, with Maya Lopez serving as your moderator. And this is going to be a great panel. Like I said, all with my gaff aside, because like I said, I'm looking ahead to things on the things that you can't see yet, but I promise you will be soon. I love this. David Pepos is doing some amazing work in the Speed Racer realm. I'm also interested in seeing what we're going to go further with Racer X. I know that Mad Cave Studios has personally promised us that there's going to be some big announcements at this panel. So if you have not checked out Speed Racer yet and that world, go ahead and go check it out. And if you are going to be in New York on Thursday and you are a fan, you definitely won't want to miss this one.
This book's too damn good to miss. Quite honestly, I've been doing the video reviews for it as well, and Rich and I go back and forth. This is peak. This is
yeah.
Can I be the Sprite to your speed?
You sure you certainly can.
And Ken can be Chim Chim.
Ken's Chim Chim. I don't know if Ken is technically, and it's going to sound weird. Ken is technically Trixie in this because he's the financier. He's the editor in chief.
Wait, wouldn't that be Michael?
Well, Michael is Dante Furno.
Well played.
Yeah. Anyways, so all jokes aside, it is fantastic. I know that me and Tom, like he does the video ones, I do the written ones for Speed Racer, and we had the same feelings. Super emotional. If you're used to just the cartoon, it captures that. If you're an old school fan, it captures that. However, if you weren't a fan of the cartoon, because I really wasn't like a diehard fan of the cartoon, this is bringing something new to that realm, and they keep pushing the envelope forward. And we know that they have other titles. I mean, Racer X is already spun off from this. pun intended, and we have other ones spinning off as well. So this is going to be a really good panel to go check out, especially if you're a fan. And like I said, this is going to attract a lot of people because this is a book where, especially a Speed Racer, the actual, the main title.
Yep.
David Pepos is writing this like a wonderful drama with some great racing action, and it's just it's for everybody. One of those times where you don't have to be a fan of a character per se going in, but you will be coming out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and definitely make sure to stop by their booth as well, because all their different imprints are doing stuff as well too. But this is their marquee panel of the weekend, so you definitely want to plug them and what they're doing, because Mad Cave has got some of the best books at the market out, bar none.
And you're going to hear me say this a lot. The Mad Cave booth has a lot of great exclusive covers for New York Comic Con, both in foil and in regular. Go check those out if you haven't seen them already. If you're a collector, you're going to want to check them out. We're going to mention this again because there's a couple other studios when we get there that have amazing stuff that they're putting out, but they are one of them. Check out specifically the Racer X and Speed Racer alternate covers that they have at the desk. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, indeed. Next up on our list, one of our favorite outlets, Comixology Originals, is having two big panels going on. So starting on Thursday, October 9th at 3:30 p.m., they have Comixology presents Lights, Camera, and Comics. So join actor Thomas Jane, comic writer Mark Bernardin, comic writer Porsak Picasso, I apologize if I messed the name up, and comic writer Mark Guggenheim, as they discuss their storytelling in both film, TV, and comics, and their latest projects. And we see up on the screen too, they've got two great books out right now on that line too: The Lycan, which I know Rich has been reviewing, and The Adventures of Ulysses Monarch, which is a fantastic sci-fi book as well. So this will be one, definitely go check out what they're doing. And they also have another panel going on. Comixology and Kindle Colorsoft present The Art of Color. So join whimsical celebrity baker, cookbook author, and graphic novelist Kim Joy, and in conversation with legendary Eisner Award nominated comic book colorist Lee Luridge, as they discuss the art of color, from the processing and choosing the palette to convey time, mood, feeling, and setting. So this is a very cool behind the scenes of one of the great elements of comics too, because the colorist is so important to getting the art to really pop on the panels and really tell the story as well with the artist and the writer and the letterer. And Comixology is doing a lot of cool things, so you definitely want to stop by their panel. They do have like a giveaway going on, like a little scavenger hunt plan happening as well. So this is some really interesting stuff. Plus, they have a few books that they're going to be announcing. I know Medieval by Neil Klein and Alex Cormack is going to be launching in November. So that is one I think you're going to see a lot of at their booth, if not more. And they have a couple other surprises there. So you definitely want to go check them out. As I say, Comixology is doing some really great things on the digital landscape, and their originals line is really, really excellent stuff to go check out.
And to note, Kim Joy is also a Great British Bake Off winner as well.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, Kim Joy is also amazing to hear speak. So
yeah,
she's a wonderful human being. Really we've had the pleasure of being a part of a couple different panels and speeches
in the vicinity. You just feel like,
positivity.
Yes. So that panel will be going on Friday, October 10th at 6:45. So Thursday and Friday, Comixology have stuff lined up. Another outlet that is really making some noise recently is Neon Ichiban. So this is the all-in-one digital comics and manga hub from David Steinberg and Chip Mosier, launching a stellar line of publishers. And they have a who's who of comic publishers on board here: Dark Horse, Distillery, DC, Marvel, Oni Press, Vault, and more. Like the list, you think about it, they're probably on it right now. So they're going to be letting fans read, sell, buy, and collect digital comics like never before. This panel offers an exclusive first look at key features, same-day releases, limited digital collectibles, resellable digital comics, and Neon Ichiban exclusive remark technology. So this is one we always say, like, in the future of comics, digital is really making a lot of headway. And Neon Ichiban is making a ton of noise in this landscape that if you really want to find out about what's going on with the digital sales of comics, this is going to be a must-attend panel.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. We've seen, obviously, our friends over at Comixology have been doing digital for a while. You have, DC Infinite, right? That's what they changed it to recently. Yep. And then you have Marvel as well, is in the game. But this is one of those times when this came across the desk a little while ago that they were launching Neon Ichiban, where I was like, oh, they're really going after the collector's market. Because my biggest thing about it was I love digital comics in correlation with my collection, because then I don't have to open my books ever. You know what I mean? However,
Truth.
now Neon Ichiban is taking it a step further with the remark technology. There's also technology that's being put in place where you could actually have commission people to do your own artwork for your own covers.
It's wild.
Like, it's wild. The things that you would normally do with your physical copies at a convention, you are now going to be able to do on Neon Ichiban. Not to mention they are putting together every publisher pretty much under the sun. If it's not there now, trust me, it will be at some point. And they're doing day one releases, which is unheard of in the digital market.
On top of that, you got to give them major credit for the fact that they are not just focusing solely out of one studio. I mean, just that whole lineup, that laundry list of DC, Marvel, the old two, Distillery, everything else in between. It's Oni Press, Vault. Like, they're bringing something to the table that we haven't seen. We've seen a ton of apps come and go. I think this one is definitely going to have that staying power.
Yeah, so this is one I know I have circled on my calendar. I will be in attendance for this one because I am just very curious about the future of comics. And, the digital market is a place that we definitely want to keep our eye on moving forward. But also, we got to get back to the panels. And there is this one is very close to Rich and myself. This is one of our favorite lines right here. Rich, I'll let you take the handle on this.
That's right. Our good friends over at Mass Republic, they are going to be doing big things as Mike Johnson from PWI Insider will be leading the discussion of the intersection of wrestling and comics, how they've influenced each other, and how Headlock Comics and Mass Republic have led that charge for the past decade, featuring Headlock creator Mike Kingston and creators and wrestlers who have participated in these iconic mashups. It all leads into the reveal of Headlock Comics and Mass Republic's upcoming slate of projects with some huge announcements featuring collaborations by the biggest names in professional wrestling and lucha libre. Mass Republic has brought us some great titles. We had the Vampiro book. We did the Rey Mysterio book, Luchaverse. They've done some great things. Of course, Michael Kingston doing some amazing work with Headlocked over well over a decade of doing that, and then stories from the road and everything else that he's done. Just tremendous. And we've talked about it. We've had Michael Kingston on the show a few times. We've actually had a lot of people on the show that to deal with Mass Republic and everybody else. And it's just wonderful to see them succeeding and growing still. And they're putting out some great stuff because, as we've talked about every time we've talked with them, pro wrestling and comics go hand in hand. It's kind of a similar world. And now they're just bringing that world to life. And it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what they're going to be doing here. And like I say, if you get a chance to go to the Headlock booth, like, amazing time too. You never know who's going to be there. I mean, we've gone by and we've seen Mick Foley. We've seen
we were there visiting Vampiro because we were covering his book, and they were gracious enough to allow us to meet Vampiro. And while we were there, we had a nice little conversation with Mick Foley because that's what you do when Mick Foley's around. But I know that that weekend I knew the Rikishi is at the booth. I know this year Shotzi Blackheart's supposed to be at the booth at some point in Juncture. I know Danhausen's rolling through. I know the Hurricane will be there at some point in Juncture at the booth. And keep your eyes slated because Michael Kingston usually calls in a bunch of favors and people just show up.
Yes.
It's great.
So you never know who you're going to see down there, but that's why you want to stop by the booth, go check them out, and obviously make time for the panel because this is going to be one you don't want to miss. Also, Friday night, October 10th, 3:30. I would say this is one I know, Tom, you're definitely excited to talk about because we're going to Oni Press.
Now, you know what? Wrestling and comics go hand in hand, but you know what else does? Cartoons and comics. So that's right. Friday, October 10th at 3:30. Join us for Oni Press, the loudest thing in color. Panel presentation is going to be in room 4063. For nearly 30 years, Oni Press has been publishing groundbreaking comics and graphic novels for readers of all ages. Now, coming off the heels of the publisher's most successful year of all time with best-selling launches of EC Comics, Adventure Time, making bacon pancakes, and the Biker Mice from Mars, because, nacelle, and more. Join President and Publisher Hunter Goranson, Editor Carl Bowlers, and star-studded cast of Oni's upstart creators, past, present, and future. Rodney Barnes, Matt Hagerty, Matt Kine, George Northey, Adam Simon. Take a look ahead at this action-packed slate of Oni's upcoming comics and graphic novels across the coming year. I can't tell you, I've been following Oni specifically because of the Nacelleverse, but seeing everything that they're putting out here, they are doing amazing work over there. The art is fantastic. The stories are rich. And if you really want to get away from the big old two, this is a fantastic company to dig into, open up those pages or scroll on them digitally, whichever way you can get them. Go get these books. And if you're not sure, go to the panel. Just have a good time. Because trust me, all of these wonderful creators have such great insight that it might be the thing that draws you into their comics.
Yeah, that's the one thing about going to panels. You never know when you go to one what you're going to find, because you might have an idea about a book and you're like, okay, this sounds interesting. And you might leave and be like, okay, I really want to find out about this author, this artist, what can I do? And that's how you really build up that fandom. I mean, I've done that personally. When I first went to New York Comic Con, I was just going to a bunch of random indie panels, along with going down to Artist Alley and meeting up with, people I did not know their work, and just try to get familiar with. And that's how you grow that fandom, and that's how you grow that connection. So when you see them, take off in a couple of years, you can say like, oh, wow, I remember this book when, and now look at them. They're doing, Spider-Man or doing Batman or whatever the case is. That is the one cool thing about this. And Oni Press, to kind of piggyback off what you said, Tom, they are really doing a lot of very ambitious projects.
Yes.
Out of Alcatraz, one of the best books of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin, that is a wild ride. To just name a couple of them, along with what they're doing in the Nacelleverse, because they're really implementing a lot of that nostalgia feel that we knew with the cartoons and the action figures, and seeing how they come to the comic world. And sometimes it can be very hit and miss, let's be honest.
Yep.
But I really think what they've done with the Nacelle line is they've gotten some great creators on it. I know Melissa Flores has been handling Biker Mice from Mars from the beginning there, and she always does fantastic work. And, to start that universe off with her and her work, you can't get any better than that. And to see where they're going now is amazing things. And then taking a look at the lineup that they have too with the EC books, if you're really into horror, that is another great line. So this is one definitely you want to go check out, The Loudest Thing in Color, if you really want to find out about some really cool books that might not be on your radar yet, but they soon will be.
They should be.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of books that need to be on your radar, can we talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line over at IDW?
Of course we can. I love talking about that. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to sunset the great run of Jason Aaron, but don't fear, because there's a lot of awesome things on the upcome. And on Friday at 5:15, IDW will take the New York NYCC, panel stage to discuss all of that, because New York is TMNT's home turf. So we're spilling all of the secrets behind IDW's best-selling and acclaimed line of Ninja Turtles comics, from the new run with Gene Luen Yang and Freddie Williams II. By the way, the Eisner winning Gene Luen Yang.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to throw out the victory there. And to the fan favorite event Battle Nexus, this panel's surprises and reveals will make fans want to yell "Cowabunga!" The Ninja Turtle line has been so good with IDW, especially since they relaunched now a little over a year ago with the Jason Aaron run, and bringing it back really to its roots. And where they've gone from that in this past year has been such a phenomenal thing. If you've not been following along, you definitely should be. And that looks to be carrying. I cannot wait. I will be there. I will be sitting there right up front and center to hear what's coming next to the Turtles franchise. I am very excited and to see what Gene Luen Yang and Freddie Williams will do with the mainline Turtle story. I am also interested to see in some of these spin-offs that they're teasing.
Night Watcher.
Yeah, we also know Shredder has come out. Casey Jones has come out. There's more to come. There's a lot that is being worked on in the back, and I'm assuming, since they're making such a big deal about this, which they should, that they are going to really kill it. And we didn't even mention the fact that TMNTX Godzilla. So maybe they'll say a little bit more about that, because that is dropping in November, and so make sure you get your copy when that drops on November 12th as well. But IDW is doing the Lord's work as far as TMNT is concerned. And if you're missing out on that, rectify that.
Yeah, you need to rectify that immediately, because that is one that their work that they've been doing with this line. And you think about the books like Casey Jones, you think about, the other ones that are involved there. They have really gone out of their way to bring back the fandom and kind of go back to the real indie roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you will see, like, the more harder edge, if you will, the more of the Last Ronin type, to kind of give, that solid balance between, the mature line and the cartoon line. And that's a fine line to walk too.
And they've melded it. they've really actually melded it. I don't think it's too adult for most. I mean, I wouldn't say little children should be reading it, but I would say that it's still acceptable. They don't go too far, but at the same time, it's also good for older readers. You don't feel like they're dumbing anything down for you. And then adding things in like Shredder and Casey Jones, and like I said, the litany of things that are on the way, including involving Godzilla, is something. It's just hats off to IDW and everything they're doing, especially with the TMNT line.
It makes you want to say Bossa Nova.
Bossa Nova, yes.
Chevy Nova?
Yes.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. But they're, like I say, that's a panel, and they have so much stuff going on too. In fact, I'm going to throw it back up because they have got some exclusive covers there.
Thank you for reminding me, because my key get when I was looking on paper, both of these gentlemen know this. My key get, there is a New York Comic Con exclusive Shredder #1 variant cover that will be sold at the IDW booth. So if I don't get there to get it, somebody should gift it to me, because damn it, I need that cover. Yeah. So if for some reason I don't get there, but yeah, they have tons of great stuff there. And we've talked about it before. If you're looking, they have a who's who showing up for their panel. They have a who's who showing up for at the booth, because there's different signing times. I know Dan Waters, Tim Seeley is going to be around, Sarah Myers going to be around. Obviously, we know showing up for the panel, you have Jean Luen Yang showing up, and it's just going to be one of these. They are really rolling out the red carpet. And think about it, TMNT is New York City.
Yes,
it takes place in New York City, just like we talk about when we're going to talk about later when we get to Marvel. It's Marvel's home turf. This is TMNT home turf. It's Ghostbusters home turf. So when those brands show up, and they do every year at New York Comic Con, those brands show up and show out. And I expect I think when we come back to do the recap, we're going to be talking a lot about what happened at this panel, because I think this panel is going to be one of the home run ones as far as comics go. And I think not just our outlet, but every outlet will be talking about it, because IDW is really loading this one up.
Do you think that after this panel will be a little shell-shocked?
Oh, he got it in there. Another pun there. You know what, though? I will give you this. I once learned from the Ninja Turtles that Confucius once said, nobody pays full price for a late pizza.
This is very, very true. Next up, and unfortunately, the graphic was damaged as we're uploading here, so we're going to just do it on the fly, but trust me, I'll make sure this is on social media everywhere. This is one of my marquee panels of the weekend. Skybound Entertainment, Transformers and G.I. Joe, a new era for the Energon universe, taking place Saturday, October 11th, 1:15 p.m. at room 406.1. So join the world of Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Void Rivals that changed forever. This is the panel to get all the details. And this is not an over-exaggeration, folks.
Nope.
This is the real deal. Join superstars Robert Kirkman, Joshua Williamson, Tom Riley, Jorge Corona, and Connor Hughes for more all-new Energon Universe revelations and a special surprise giveaway for fans. And this is moderated by Skybound executive editor Ben Abernathy. So this universe is exploding right now on the scene. They're going into one of their peak times coming out of the Daniel Warren Johnson era, which ended magnificently. Like, if you want to talk about just bookending a true iconic run, they just did it. This week at the comic shops, as we record, Transformers 25 comes out, and that is Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora.
Ooh.
And there will be no drop off there. Trust me, folks. This is going to be a book that I think everybody's going to be talking about. This is a stacked lineup of books this week, too, by the way. So Transformers is definitely one you don't want to miss. Plus, we also have the Dreadnought War that's going to be kicking off in the pages of G.I. Joe, the Quintessence War that's taking off in Void Rivals. This is a perfect time to get into this universe. If you haven't, for whatever reason, I don't want to know why, because honestly, this has been making noise for now 2 years. This is one of the premier universes of all of comics. Everybody needs to get checking this out.
Okay, quick question. Since all of us really cover different bases of the Energon universe, right?
Yep.
What is the one thing you want to see out of one particular run? So what do you want to see, especially coming out of Void Rivals, Ken?
Void Rivals, the one thing, but it's tricky though. The one thing I would like to see them have is a tighter connection to the G.I. Joe universe. They have dabbled with Cobra La.
Okay.
So, but that's tough because, well, G.I. Joe is an Earth-based group. Mm-hmm. So you'd have to have characters from there come to Earth, and like how that works, it's a little tricky. I would like to see that a little tighter there because they are very, very close with the Transformers group.
Yep.
So that's one thing I'd like to see there. G.I. Joe, I mean, honestly, what Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley have done, I mean, they have not missed. They're planting a lot of seeds for a larger payoff later. But for what they're doing right now, I mean, sure, you could tie in maybe some other characters we haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, and that makes sense.
Shipwreck.
I was going to say my only takeaway is all 3 titles need more Shipwreck.
Yeah.
All 3 titles.
But I think, but we're going to get that in time. So I think G.I. Joe is not doing anything wrong. And then in Transformers, I mean, we now have a new era. So I'm waiting to see. So I'm going to hold off on my answer for Transformers.
Fair enough.
They're bringing Bumblebee back.
Just because,
Shut your mouth.
just because we don't know what Kirkman and Mora have in store, but
You're jumping off a cliff.
It's
on that.
Kirkman and Mora. Like, just trust the process.
Kirkman's bringing back Bumblebee because Daniel Warren Johnson said never. It's happening, folks. Prepare yourself for the return of Bumblebee.
All right,
We'll have to
Rich,
see.
Rich, what do you want out of Skybound Universe?
I just said it. I mean, I want more Shipwreck. It's funny. I honestly, I without being too critical, because I think they're hitting a home run with G.I. Joe. I think they're hitting a home run with Transformers. Void Rivals is a little bit of an acquired taste, only because they're dealing with different things and kind of introducing a new universe that was born out of a very short period of the cartoon back in the 80s.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there is a little bit of growing pains there. But it's not a bad book. It's just saying that it's not as recognizable as G.I. Joe and Transformers. And I think that it would behoove them, if you will, to use more of the G.I. Joe and Transformers characters to really get it over. That's what I would correct there for them. That's all I'm saying.
Now, because a lot of these characters do come out of the house of Hasbro, there is also a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that Ken might want on his shelf. Pythona is coming out. I know we didn't cover that last night. Yes. But, for me, there was a small Easter egg dropped in the free comic book day issue. And I really, really want to see where they can go with Matt Tracker and the team from Mask.
Okay.
Mobile Armored Strike Command. I think that there's something in that can work well with the Transformers franchise, because I mean, it's robots in disguise and it's cars that turn into other vehicles. Like that's what I really want to get out of this, because like you said, what they're doing in G.I. Joe right now, they can do no wrong.
No, it's a home run every issue.
Every freaking issue.
Getting back to the panel, though, I will say this: there's 2 panels that I will not miss for any reason, and that includes unless there is some like a dream scenario that I can't miss for it. And those 2 panels are the Energon panel, and that is also Marvel's next big thing, which we'll talk about later. Those are the 2 home run panels that you're guaranteed that they're going to hit a home run with every single year. If you are in attendance at New York Comic Con, you need to be at this panel. Like, honestly, if you miss this, it's at 1:15. Yeah. You need to be there. It's always in one of the bigger rooms, because it has to be.
I will say this, though. Saturday is going to be a tough choice for fans, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot loaded up in that one, but primarily in that like noon to 4 window of time. There's a lot. So fans are really going to have to pick and choose. But I'm going to say this. For my money, the Energon one is the one I would pick. But there's no wrong answer if you go to something else.
There's never a wrong answer. Go to your fandom. But I'm just saying, if you're looking for entertainment,
we're excited.
Yeah. So I just want to drive that point home.
Pure entertainment alone. That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah, if I could be everywhere at once, I would be, because trust me, this is loaded up. Another one taking place on Saturday, though, at 12:15. Tom, this is one of your favorites. Rich, you too. So let's talk about some Boom Studios, shall we?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I like how you did that. Since its founding in 2005, Boom Studios has been an industry leader in character-driven, high-concept stories across age ranges, genres, and creator-owned and licensed stories. Discover yours as we announce bold, exciting new stories, new creators, and updates on your favorite comics and books. Please join us as we celebrate the character and creators we've come to know and love from the past 20 years, and we look ahead at what the next 20 years has in store. This is always a great panel. They're showing out. I know on the little panel description there, we see James Tynion IV, obviously front and center. It's interesting, obviously doing the Lord's work with Something is Killing the Children. One of the biggest books in comic books currently, and for actually the past 5 years.
Yep. Teenie Howard's up there too. She has a new book that's coming out this week from them. The name is escaping me as we record, but trust me, we're going to be talking about that on Nerd Initiative Wednesday.
Absolutely. But I mean, they're coming stacked, and they always have announcements, and I'm assuming it's going to be great. I mean, last year, Boom was really championing the younger Boom, which was Boombox, where they was doing a lot of manga and stuff, and they've had some great titles out of that. The Slaughterverse, they were really expanding on the Slaughterverse. We were talking about that. They've also started more of a horror elemented side of them as well. So bringing more things to light out of the something not related to something that's killing the children, but because of that, Boom has gotten more into the realm of horror comics, which is huge. So I'm assuming we're going to hear more about that and more coming out of this panel.
They've got Power Rangers.
And they have Power Rangers. I forgot about that.
Not only that, but they also have VR Troopers. So hopefully after this 5-issue miniseries, we do get something out of the VR Troopers. And the fact that we finally have a Power Ranger comic that is completely out of the morphing. Well, it isn't morphing group, but completely out of the run that we know that is canon, and it's its own take. And Melissa Flores is doing an amazing job because she writes such dynamic characters. I cannot wait to see what they do. It is, I mean, they've even done things like Fraggle Rock and Farscape. And like, if you're in that pop culture, zeitgeist, you're going to find something in there. And if you're not, then you're going to find something else.
If you like Speed Racer, go read Sir. Sir came out for the last year, motorbikes instead of cars. But I will say this, for Mine and you, since he brought up Power Rangers, we can only hope that they're going to announce something is killing the children, meeting both the VR Troopers and Power Rangers, and hopefully Erica Slatter takes care of all of our problems.
That's probably not going to happen, because I wouldn't be surprised if we get MMPR Pink the Return 2 announced from maybe Joe Johnson.
If we're speculating, I would say this. I think we're going to get a huge announcement for something that's killing children. I don't know what, because I remember in San Diego they said they're plotted through 100 issues, which is huge. So I would say, if I had to guess, it's going to be something huge around that franchise, if not more. But Boom is doing some fantastic work. I know they got one issue coming out this month I'm not ready for, but I will prepare myself for, and that's The End of Grimm. Arguably one of the best comics at the shop is unfortunately coming to an end, but it is what it is. We still have a lot more comics to talk about, and I know that this next one, going back to Image Comics, and this is a brand that's very close to us here at Nerd Initiative, because we're going to comics' most exciting universe, and that's the Massiverse. Tom, let's talk about it.
Well, on Sunday, that's right. You have to hold out the whole weekend to go and join the Massiverse superstars, Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato, Melissa Flores, and that Ryan Parrott guy, and more special surprise guests as the crew unveils exciting new developments and announcements in store for the Massiverse this year and next. And also to note, Matt, we will miss you at the show.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. And Michael as well. Like, we wish you were here, man. Trust me, you'll be in our hearts and the panel pages. But it's the Massiverse. You guys love what they do over there. I love what they do over there. Yeah.
I mean, this universe, I will scream at the top of the lungs. I think it's if you're looking for modern superhero stories, they do it better than everybody. That they really tapped into the audience, how they are next level on their social media. And I apologize with my head cold if I'm sounding a little out. They are very next level about connecting with that audience and really being a step ahead with like the podcast, the QR codes, the fighting game, the cards there with Solus there. So like they are next level when it comes to that. So I expect this panel, we're going to have a lot of major announcements. I'm going to throw the graphic back up too, because coming out very shortly is Rogue Sun 30, which, we've talked about that issue at great length with Medieval Spawn. And I fully suspect that we're going to hear a lot of great stories coming out of this one. Obviously, Brian Buccellato is there, so we're going to hear probably maybe an update about what's going on with No One. And with Melissa Flores in the house, I'm hoping like we get some Dead Lucky news. That's what I'm hoping for there. But no matter what, Kyle's going to have a lot of news going on, especially as they're kicking off a very new story arc with Radiant Black. So this is going to be one you definitely don't want to miss. Like I say, they're promising surprises. They're fully going to deliver on that.
I was going to say, make sure you stop by and visit the booths of all of them.
Yes.
Because they will also have, we know the Massiverse card game is also having not a panel, but they are having a homecoming, if you will, at New York Comic Con. It was one of the first days you could get your hands on products. So
yeah, if you haven't checked that out or picked it up yet, definitely make a point to do that. Then we had one, I'm not sure if this is a panel or not. We did get a press release right before we went on air about stuff going on with Dynamite Comics. So I'm going to throw the graphics up here. And there's two big announcements that they were featuring: Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck crossover. So, Tom, this is right up your alley.
Let's get dangerous. That's right. We're going to get dangerous as Darkwing Duck comes out of St. Canard and goes and hangs out with Gargoyles and the Manhattan Clan. written by Greg Weisman, and I got to go check my notes too.
Ted Stones.
What's that?
Ted Stones.
Ted Stones. This is going to be very unique. I love everything that Gargoyles is doing coming out. You know, we've been fortunate enough to have Greg Weisman here on the show talk about the series. We've even talked about Darkwing as well, and I highly recommend Darkwing. Seriously, both of these runs are fantastic, and also kudos to Disney for putting these two together. We know that Disney, you know, rarely crosses over their franchises and IPs outside of the, you know, the princesses and all that stuff, you know. So to get this in comic form really says something to the teams that are, you know, combining up and putting this out through Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. And then we also did get an update about where Jason Aaron is going next. And Rich, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Thundar the Barbarian is hitting the comic shops, as Jason Aaron will be writing it with Kubar Bal as the artist on the book. Phenomenal. This is right up Jason Aaron's alley. This is going to be a tremendous thing. I love what Dynamite has been doing with IPs, i.e., I'll say it all day, Space Ghost, probably the best comic on the shelves. It is, in my opinion. Then you add into that Thundercats is crushing it. You add into that the stuff they're doing with the Terminator. You add into that the stuff that they're doing over there with the Gargoyles / Disney IPs with Darkwing Duck and such. Like, they are crushing it right now at Dynamite. The fact that they are highlighting these two books as announcements can only mean big, huge things for them in their launch. And I'm assuming also we'll probably hear more. Yes, Captain Planet. Obviously, I just reviewed Captain Planet #6, which you can read on the Nerd Initiative website this Wednesday. There you go. Little shameless plug for myself. But yeah, Captain Planet is phenomenal too. But they're doing a great job of launching all these IPs with some great talented writers. Jason Aaron fits in this. Obviously, Greg Weisman fits into this. It's just amazing the amount of stuff that Dynamite has really, you know, in a world where everybody focuses a lot on the big two and then Image as a third, Dynamite is really snuck in the back door and is really making some noise. And I think the fact that they're purposely throwing this out there as what they're highlighting while having other great books like Captain Planet and Space Ghost, et cetera, I think that you're in for a huge year from Dynamite Entertainment.
Absolutely. I think they're doing a lot of great things over there. So definitely excited to see about these projects coming out. And like I say, it just came right on the wire here as we were going live to do the show. But we can't finish out talking about some panels without mentioning about what they're doing over with McFarlane and the toys and the comic line too. So there's a couple panels going on. There's a spotlight of Todd McFarlane taking place on what is it? Thursday.
Thursday's the spotlight. It's basically
Thursdays, because it's lined up and then some, because he's got the spotlight at 2:30, and then he also has the McFarlane Toys Multiverse going on at 4. So it's back to back in room 406.2. And then they have a couple things going on with their 50-50-50 program following King Spawn. So they're going to be talking about the year-long 50-50-50 program for Gunslinger Spawn. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening on that collector aspect too. And obviously we know them with the toys. So that's going to be something you really don't want to miss taking place. And like I say, Todd is going to be a very, very busy man that week at New York. So and he's got a panel lined up to Saturday on the 11th, 11:45 with J. Scott Campbell talking Legends and Conversation. So definitely a lot of cool things happen. Spawn Universe Comics have been doing a lot of great things. So that is something we all want to keep an eye out for.
They're also hitting the horror scene this Christmas time for I Saw Santa, by the way. So it's a holiday horror thing coming from the Spawn universe.
Yeah.
It's a Spawn universe Christmas story. That's most what we know about it, other than the FOC is November 3rd. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about that at New York Comic Con. So really, the McFarlane / Spawn universe / Image Comics is really very Spawn centric coming into the early days of the con this year.
Well, they got some great books out right now.
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, like I say, King Spawn has been great. Bloodletter has been a really
Black Ritual.
Yep, a real nice surprise. Yeah, I mean, like I say, what they've been doing, expanding that universe out to, is one I think more fans really got to start paying attention to, because they're doing some great work there.
I was going to say Gunslinger Spawn coming into number 50 is one of the most slept on spin-offs of a series, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Gunslinger Spawn is in some ways as good as the main run Spawn. I mean, that might be controversial, but if you're not reading it, I promise you it is.
It's up there in that conversation. Next up is one that is starting to make some waves in the comic world, but if you're very familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, he is now dabbling into the world of comics coming out of the V Friends universe. Now, if anybody's not familiar, V Friends is an entertainment company dedicated to creating a better world through its universe of more than 250 characters. So it combines storytelling, content, collectibles, and fan-driven experience to ignite self-discovery. Each character is connected differently with people, reflecting their likes, passions, and aspirations. Gary is one that originally hand-drawed most of the characters, I believe all the characters too at some stage. So let's say there's like over 200 characters involved, if not 250. So this is a universe that's starting to really pick up some steam, and they're having a very big booth at New York Comic Con that they're doing a lot of very cool collectibles going away, because that's one thing that they've really been kind of focusing on a little bit. But the one thing that really kind of caught my attention about this is they're going to be doing some of their putting on sale their comic line, the V Friends. And they've been doing now like a very interesting way. They go a lot by Whatnot, and the QR code is for the V Friends Whatnot channel. So you want to go click on that and make sure to check it out. But they have some very cool alternate covers for their 5, 6, and 7 books. And artists that we do know, Jim Matfoot, Jay Lee, and David Mack. So these are, we know them from the comics world. I mean, fantastic artists. So they're doing some very cool things. They have a scavenger hunt that's going to be taking place in Artist Alley. They have a deal worked out at the Walmart booth for comic signing. So I know Gary is going to be doing that on Thursday. So you definitely want to check out that. Funko, pins, stickers, giveaways. They're doing a lot in this universe, and it's really just, giving you something different to check out in the world of comics. And like I say, the fact that Gary is, really combined this passion and creativity, like this is something I fully suspect is going to explode after New York Comic Con. It's been gaining steam since last year. We were down at the booth, and like I say, when they're giving out the card for the Notorious Ninja, which
I got mine.
I have mine too. And I've been following this universe too. And like I say, they're doing some really cool things in the comic aspect now. And like the presentation, and like a lot of it's on Whatnot, but it's well worth checking out. So if you're not familiar with this universe, definitely go check out V Friends. And if you're going to be in attendance at the con, make sure to stop by their booth, because I'm sure that's going to be rocking, and they're going to be doing a lot of cool things.
I'm going to say, I'm hoping to get more stickers this year. Gary V handed me a sticker himself, but I'm a fan of the ambitious alligator, the chill chinchilla. That's right.
Hey, I'm Poised Pug. I took the quiz, so I know.
I didn't take the quiz, but I'm just telling you which ones I'm a fan of.
Yeah,
there's a quiz.
Yeah, there's a quiz. They have a lot going on the V Friends account. So if you're not following them on socials, make sure to do that as you're clicking through the show here. So that said, we've got 2 major publishers to talk about, and obviously, I think everybody knows where we're going first. I would say this: last year, DC Comics won New York Comic Con, in our opinion. Their panels were the hottest ticket in town, and this year they're really coming back in a big way. And let's talk about it, because they're bringing back their iconic Vertigo line. Ooh. So 1 year ago at DC, at New York Comic Con, DC announced the return of its legendary adult graphic fiction imprint Vertigo. This year, they're welcoming guest attendees to be the very first fans anywhere to see Vertigo's new ongoing slate. So a series of special guests have exclusive announcements, reveals, and surprises in store as DC Vertigo reclaims its title as the home for comics which refuse to fit the mold. This is going to be moderated by the executive editor, Chris Conroy. So Thursday, October 9th, 12:30. So if you are not familiar with DC Vertigo, when this imprint came out, it really revolutionized the way we looked at mature readers' lines. And it spawned such hits as Preacher, Doom Patrol, Sandman was under that line. Shade the Changing Man was there for a bit. And then you start thinking about like DMZ and like some of the other books that you've seen now translate from the small screen to the big, from the pages to the small screen and big screen. They have come from Vertigo. Vertigo is a very, very good line. I mean, I know I'm forgetting more of the line that's come out, but like if you want to talk about books that have really made an impact and launched careers, like I say, Preacher is probably the biggest one that has, because that put Garth Ennis on the map, in my opinion. And then you think about what he's done now with The Boys and such, and transpired. Like Vertigo is just huge in this realm, and to see it now come back, because we know we've had Black Label.
Yeah, Black Label's a little different.
But Black Label is more focused on the superhero stories, which they're allowed to tell a more mature style there. This is all new, different stuff. So I cannot wait to hear what they have coming up. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in the history of Vertigo.
Yes.
and we can't wait to see where they go with the new. And also on top of it being a little more adult and a little more for a mature audience, if you will, it's also pushes the envelope on art. They're one of the Vertigo was one of the first imprints where you were really seeing a different art style, whether, it was the photorealistic was, we'll call it, art style, or even some like real experimental stuff, but it was always really, really good. And I'm hoping, judging by the cover of that first book that they used for the graphic, that they're going back to something similar to that. Tom.
Well, I just can't wait to see what comes out. Again, Vertigo is such a niche line in a good way, and I'm not saying niches to sway people off. It's if you know, if you don't, you don't. But just like what Ken said, other things that we've gotten out of the Vertigo line that have gone on small and big screen. We had the Sandman that just ended on Netflix. I was vivacious about the villainy that was vicariously put on screen with V for Vendetta as well. So what else could come out of Vertigo to that extent that could break through that pop culture glass ceiling, or just stay just beneath the surface? And everybody's looking at it like, should I dive in? Do I want this? Yes, you do.
Well, I think that we've seen that with Vertigo. I mean, they opened the doors for a lot of the imprints we're now following. That they're as groundbreaking as anything we could imagine, and especially for DC at that time to do it, that's a true testament to their commitment to really show the creative side of stories that are not fitting a mold, and to take that gamble. I mean, it's huge, but they did it. And like I say, the results there's a whole lineage of books that I think readers have to check out if you haven't done that already.
I was going to say, don't get it twisted. They also did great superhero books that have come into their own too. Like we mentioned, Doom Patrol, also Swamp Thing was a Vertigo title for a while. So
yeah, like I say, there's so much coming out of this. So I am super excited to see what they have coming. And then if we're talking about DC Comics, I mean, right now the Batman line has been absolutely exploding lately, and we're taking a trip to Gotham City, and this one will be Friday, October 10th, 12:30 p.m. Going off the DC Comics website, walk the dark and gritty streets of the DC universe with top DC comic creators Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez, Scott Snyder, Nick Dragata, and more for news and surprises involving Batman and the other protectors of Gotham City, moderated by DC Group editor Rob Levin. So up there, we have the covers for Batman #1, which is Fraction and Jimenez, which has been a very interesting take of the Cape Crusader. And then right next to it is a book coming out this week, and that is Absolute Batman #13 with Absolute Catwoman on the cover. So a lot of cool stuff happening in the DC panel. I mean, this was actually my first panel I ever went to when I went to New York Comic Con.
I would love to see what a young Ken at Comic Con would look like. Do we have pictures?
Somewhere. But this is one that when I walked in, I was only familiar with Batman because at the time that was a Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Okay.
I got exposed to everything else that was on that line, and that really got me hooked onto what was going on with all of Gotham City. And now, right now that line is absolutely crushing, whether it's Nightwing, whether it's Batman and Robin, or for my money, and I've said this multiple times, the best Batman book on the market is Batman Dark Patterns. I know it's ending. I'm hoping they announce it's coming back for another run. But I know for my money, that has been the best Batman book, bar none. And that's saying a lot with the other quality that has been there.
Yes.
But you know what, Ken? You know what could give Batman a run for the money?
What's that?
The stars of All Elite Wrestling. Because AEW XDC crossover panel is going down on Friday, October 10th at 5 p.m. AEW CEO, GM, and head of creative. And all those titles. Tony Khan, man of many hats. Many hats, will join former AEW champion Jon Moxley, former AEW champion Swerve Strickland, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, Willow Nightingale, with prolific comic writer Steve Orlando and artist Travis Mercer. Will come together for a unique panel conversation. Heroes, villains, spaces in between, pro wrestling and comics storytelling. The discussion will look at where the worlds of wrestling and comics converge within AEW. This will be moderated by Frankie Smith. Always a fun time. It's been a while since AEW has been at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I was going to say they took couple
3 years off.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. It was 4 years ago when they were there, and the year before. Well, the first year they were there, they made a lot of waves when there was a fight that broke out at their panel between the wrestlers, obviously.
Yes.
And then the year we were there, we there was some promising stuff from that panel hosted by the great Tony Schiavone, where we got to hear the first time ever Orange Cassidy was calling out.
He broke character.
He broke character to call out Zack Sabre Jr., which was wild. And then, 3 years later, now we know last year the partnership was announced between AEW and DC. We even got to see some of the covers, not even for books. They were just extra covers that they were doing. They were around con last year. This year, we're finding out the partnership has grown and we're getting a lot more out of it now, including comic books.
Yeah. And you know what? I think one of the cool things is on AEW Dynamite, they have been showing DC Comics commercials. And I think that is a great way to get comics in front of a different audience.
Synergy.
Exactly. But doing that kind of marketing, I think, is great. And I think seeing what AEW is going to do in the comic world. I mean, we've had comics and wrestling intertwined for years. So to see what AEW is going to do in this, I think is going to be a very interesting venture. And I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen in that panel, because I think that could be some fun with Orange Cassidy and Swerve Strickland there, along with John Moxley.
It's like we talked about when we talked about Mass Republic and
Willow too. I forgot.
Wrestling and comics go hand in hand. Here's a big deal in them together, and it makes sense because both are under the WBD umbrella. So I mean, you would assume that this would make a great partnership, and it's good. It's good. It's paying off with commercials for DC on AEW television, as well as now doing a complete crossover where AEW stars are going to be seen in comic books. I think that this is an all-win, big, giant bucket of win for both companies, like I said, under the same banner.
Can we just put Booster Gold in with the wrestlers?
I mean, anything is possible.
Once again, I will say it early. My spoiler alert for KO. We're going to have a Dark Hawk run-in to take out John Moxley so he can never be AEW champion again.
Oh my God.
That is the hero that we need. And I understand some of you are going to go, that's the MCU. Oh no, he doesn't follow bounds. He doesn't.
Right now, I could hear cat typing right now.
We all need some friends.
Yes. Well, speaking of friends, great segue, because what's turning into one of the marquee panels of New York Comic Con is taking place Friday, October 10th, 6:30 p.m. And that is Jim Lee and Friends.
Yes.
So at this year's New York Comic Con, DC president, publisher, and chief creative officer, Jim Lee will treat fans to a powerful lineup of surprise announcements, reveals, and special guests, along with great conversation and with top comic creators. So this is now the annual New York Comic Con, Jim Lee and Friends. So this is a great panel. Last year, I believe they announced Hush 2, which is on the screen right now. I think this year, I would imagine we're going to get an update on that. And then, honestly, I think between this and like what Marvel does with Marvel Fanfare, with CB Sobalski, their editor-in-chief coming down and having those one-on-one conversations or whoever shows up, I think this is a fun moment for the fans, because you really get to see, the heads of the company come down and really become fans.
Sure.
Not that they're not already, but to see like Jim Lee come down and just hang out with his friends and just go over some of the stories. And like, I could only imagine, depending on who comes through for this.
You look at it and they say moderated by Jim Lee. It's hosted by Jim Lee. It's a whole show. It's a great thing. And also I would like to point out, it feels like every year Jim Lee adds another title to his long title. It's getting harder and harder to say his exact position at DC Comics. If anybody deserves it, is Jim Lee. So I'm not complaining. Yes. I'm just pointing out that next year we're going to probably have to like make its own graphic for the entirety of his title at DC Comics. But this is always a fun one because, Jim Lee, has friendships galore.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about who's coming. It's going to be a who's who because he's just going to bring in his friends, hence the title Jim Lee and Friends. And there's always big announcements. There's always, it's not one of those, it's one of those ones where you get to hear stories and you also, and everything from the past and like some behind the scenes peeks, if you will. But also they always make waves. There's always a big announcement. As you point out, Hush 2 was announced last year at the Jim Lee and Friends panel. I'm assuming this year we're going to get another, big one. It's almost like, oh yeah, by the way. And that's what makes it fun. You go, you hear all these great stories. You get to hear him talk with some icons of the comic industry. Yes. And then at the end, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're just planning on doing this little thing over here.
Mm-hmm. It almost is like that at the end of the Jim Lee and Friends panel, it's going to knock you out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like where you're setting up there. So let's go to, I'm going to say this right now. I think this is DC's marquee panel of the weekend. This will be arguably the hottest ticket in town, and that's DC KO. What's next? So Tom, let's talk about it.
So yeah, join the top DC storytellers: Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, Javi Fernandez, Jeremy Adams, and more. My personal favorite in the Next Level NYCC panel that dives deeper into DC's all-in publishing initiative, including DC KO, Nightfall, DC's Absolute Comic Books, and beyond. Moderated by DC Group editor Paul Kaminsky. This is going to be taking place on Saturday, October 11th, right just past the noon at 12:15. Trust me, you're going to want to get in line for this one at 11 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. This is, well, let's be honest, any of the DC panels, you're going to want to get in line early. If you didn't get panel registration, you need to be in line for these.
Well, these don't need them. They're first come, first serve. So like, this is going to be, I can't reiterate enough, this is going to be one of the hottest tickets in town. DCKO is going to be the event everybody's going to be talking about going into New York Comic-Con this weekend. Once it gets to the shops, and I think when fans, get done reading it, that's going to be the buzz on social media between that and Transformers 25 and Absolute Batman 13. I think that you're going to hear a lot of people talking about those issues online, which is amazing. And that's, I think, is going to help this panel too, because when they are talking Absolute Universe, and especially with who's in attendance, I'm expecting big things happening here. KO is going to be a big thing. Night Fight is going to be something that's a brand new event too, that they're going to be talking about. So a lot of things are going to be happening. Like, this is going to be one, if you're a DC fan, you have to be in attendance for it.
And didn't we also put up an article just recently about DCKO?
Well, we took it around the Nerd Initiative Bullpen to see about who they thought was going to win DCKO. So that is up right now at nerdinitiative.com. So make sure to go check that out.
I also want to point out that this is the second year in a row where I believe you're absolutely right. This is going to be the panel. Last year was the Absolute Universe panel that really stole the show. This is kind of in the same vein. Both of them have in common Scott Snyder, obviously, which I think DC has really hit the home run. If you're comparing it to something that's super pop culture, I feel like Scott Snyder has now become DC's Russo brothers, as far as, calling the reliever. Last year it paid off. I think this year is also going to pay off.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, I have no idea what to expect, but I know that this is going to be one generating a ton of social media buzz as soon as it wraps up. So make sure you're following Nerd Initiative for all the information you need about that. But last but certainly not least, they say it's their home turf, and it's hard to argue with them. It honestly is, because Marvel Comics is coming back to take the crown. A loaded lineup of panels starting Thursday. So let's take it to the Spider-Man and his venomous friends. So Spider-Man's in space and Mary Jane is Venom. No, that's not a typo, folks. That's real.
You should have said it like it's written. Mary Jane is Venom?
Yes. So Vice President, Executive Editor Nick Lowe, Senior Editor Jordan D. White, Editor-in-Chief C.B. Sobalski, and writers Al Ewing and Joe Kelly, along with other superstar creators, dish about the wild developments currently taking place in Amazing Spider-Man, Venom, and more. Plus, we get a sneak peek at what's on the horizon, from the shocking return of Null to the mystery of the second Spider-Man. Webhead, stick around until the end for exclusive giveaway comic. Yeah, there's a lot happening in the Spider-Verse right now.
I flipped myself when I read this. I'll be very honest with everything that's going on right now with Pete out in outer space with that new suit that he's got. And then the twist that we had this past year with MJ as Venom, which it leads itself to a whole bunch of different type of storytelling. And then, I personally enjoyed the Spider-Verse versus Venomverse this past year. But they're bringing back no. Come on, man. Like, we just no.
No, the issue when he came back and everything going on for Venom 250, which I mean, I love the fact that it went back to the legacy writing for it, or numbering, I should say. I thought that was a cool moment. And right now, what they're doing in Amazing Spider-Man, Joe Kelly is brought it back to basics. I love the run. Pepe Larraz and John Romita Jr. have been really doing some cool things with the art. Larraz, I can't preach enough about his art. Like, he kicked off the event when they did the Hobgoblin arc, and amazing. I rarely get goosebumps when I'm reading comics, and that one really brought me back, because Spider-Man's my all-time favorite hero, and to see it done like this, it took me back. And to see where they're going now, it's wild. Like, they're not kidding. Spider-Man's in space.
Yeah, just choose pet.
Yeah, just
no. Hey, and listen, as we're going to talk about with each and every one of the Marvel panels, Marvel is famous for giving away great giveaways at the end of their show.
Agreed.
So
Yes.
Don't leave early. Make sure you stay and get the free collectible giveaway that they're going to give out. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. But next up from Marvel, though, we did mention quickly about the CB Sobalski with J. Scott Campbell panel. And that's going to be taking place. That's the fanfare one on room 405 on Friday at 2 p.m. So that's always a cool one-on-one conversation for that. So if you're interested, I would try to attend those, because it's always just cool to have those like little intimate conversations, and you hear such great history come out when whatever creators up there or actors. I know Charlie Cox has come through talking Daredevil at one point. Vincent D'Onofrio, I believe, has come through for that as well. So it's always a cool experience to see up there. So you definitely want to go check that out.
Never know who's showing up.
Yeah, exactly. But then next up, you have one of the big events taking place in Marvel right now, and this is going to be one that I think fans are going to be very interested to see, and that is the X-Men panel. So this is what's going on in the Age of Revelation. So join Vice President Executive Editors Nick Lowe, Tom Brevoort, along with Editor-in-Chief C.B. Zawalski and Mighty Mutant creators, including Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman, and Ben Piercy, as they share secrets behind the X-Men latest milestone and what makes the boldest futures in X history, plus discover what lies ahead in mutant kind, including what merges in the Age of Revelation epic aftermath. The first looks, cover reveals, and more. And also another exclusive giveaway at the end. So this is one that is very, very interesting for me. Like I say, I've seen how the setup is. The Age of Revelation Overture is out right now. That's the cover you see up right now. That's there's a lot of moving parts involved in this crossover, which, you know, it's kind of, it reminds me a lot of the Age of Apocalypse, which I think it pays the homage to. Obviously, seeing who Revelation is and the power level now. It will be very curious to see how the X-Men get out of this one and where they go from here, but I'm excited to check it out.
X-Men's always a big hit. We always have some big announcements, so make sure you check that one out. It's like I said, it's a safe one.
Yeah,
especially if you're a fan.
Yep. And then next up, Tom, this is one close to your heart because we're talking a little TTRPG.
That's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, why don't we talk about the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game?
That's right. Join the Marvel Multiverse alongside mighty Marvel guests as they smash, clobber, and thwip their way through an exciting and hilarious live play adventure that you won't want to miss. Now, when this was originally announced in the bullpen, we were already calling dibs on characters. I believe we coined you for Cap.
Yep.
Michael is absolutely Spider-Man.
Darkhawk.
Michael is absolutely Spider-Man. I still have not really picked which character archetype. Rich, who would you be if you had to start rolling some dice for Marvel characters?
Oh, it's easy. I'm going to be Hulk because I just like to smash stuff.
Okay.
That's my game. That's my game style.
All right. I'm still very much up in the air, but you know, in this day and age now that we have all these different IPs or different creators coming out with new role-playing games, it's great to be able to get different franchises involved in it, bringing someone new to the table, or just if you love characters like Spider-Man or the Hulk or Cap, to be able to embody those traits of those characters with your friends. This is just going to be fun. And especially, you know, with the fact of who they're going to have at this, which is still up in the air to play these different roles, it's going to be a blast.
Whenever you're in doubt, Tom, just remember, if there's a character that I can Leroy Jenkins it with,
Leroy Jenkins,
then I am absolutely picking that. So that's why I would pick Hulk.
Yeah, I would say Hulk or Juggernaut.
Yes, once again, Leroy Jenkins.
Yep, just run in there and just start smashing things. Yeah, this is one, and especially this game is really catching on with fans too. I hear a lot of feedback about it. I know we have some plans with our gaming department here at Nerd Initiative for it, so stay tuned. ... Also, we have a very unique panel taking place Friday night
in the after hours.
Yeah, so
con after hours.
Yeah, so Rich, I'm gonna let you take this one because this is a very cool mashup. If I've seen.
Listen, this is one of the ones that after researching, I'm definitely down to be at, and I know Ken is as well. And this is Nas and Legendary Friends present comics and hip hop, a Marvel and Mass Appeal conversation. Join Mass Appeal and Marvel for a one-time only experience. A panel of legends will assemble to discuss the cultural power of comics and hip hop. Comics and hip hop go hand in hand. Nas will be the host of this. So that first of all, when you speak of legends, right then, there. But we have had other legends from the hip hop world come to con and do great things. I know that we've had, you know, DMC there.
Yep.
We've had Kid Cudi there.
Kid Cudi came from Moon Man.
Ice-T.
We've had Ice-T in the house doing this stuff. So like there is a big crossover. And if you listen to hip hop music, which I know we all do, you have a lot of comic references in hip hop music throughout time. So it's kind of cool to see them actually come together and marry the two worlds at New York Comic Con. Where else could it happen, by the way? The home of hip hop, the home of, the biggest comic book studio in the world, Marvel. So therefore you have to, you bring them together and you let everything go together. And we're going to see, I'm interested to see who's going to show up for this, because it looks like it's saying all-star legends. And I'm assuming that means legends from the comic world and legends from hip hop. And once you have Nas hosting, that's a high bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's not a low bar. That is a high bar. So I definitely think my ass will be in a seat at 8 o'clock on Friday night because I'm going to enjoy what's going to go down at this panel.
Second, yeah, I'll be right there with you. This is a very cool mashup, and this is something you're going to see a lot of at con too. Like I say, a lot of crossover appeal is going to happen, and it's just a matter of finding the fandoms and matching up with it.
Ironically enough, I was just going to mention that we talked earlier about working, and yes, we'll probably report on this, but at the same point juncture, this is definitely fan rich that's showing up.
Yes,
for this because it's two fandoms that I can't wait to see how they meld together. And like I said, I love what they've been doing at New York Comic Con over the last few years of doing the after hours stuff. So the events literally do not end at the normal 7-8 o'clock that it normally ends at. There is still like panels and like get-togethers that go on until I think up to 11 o'clock ish is what it was.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it varies.
Not every night. It's at different nights, but I'm just saying like it's 11 o'clock. It's like that. So check if you are in town, if you're coming in, check out those extra events because you never know. There's meetups. There's little, I call them parties because they kind of are, but it's like more of a fun get together. There's panels,
soiree.
They're doing some really cool stuff in the after hours, and that's what they're calling it. Pretty much con after dark.
Yeah,
and it works out very well. I know last year they did a big anime meetup, kind of like party for lack of a better term, where they were playing anime music and all sorts of stuff, and it was very widely attended. So kudos to the people in charge, Reed Pop for making some cool stuff happen after dark.
Yeah, absolutely. So you definitely want to make sure if you're going to it, make sure you download the app as well for New York Comic Con, and that'll definitely help you guide you where you need to go. But also going back to the panels though, and we always say about a Hall H moment. This is the Hall H moment, if you will, for New York, and especially for Marvel Comics. This is their marquee panel of the weekend, is Marvel's next big thing. So the biggest comic panel of the weekend arrives with editor C.B. Sobalski, Vice President, Executive Editor Nick Lowe, Ultimate Editor Will Moss, writers Dennis Camp, and Philip Kennedy Johnson, along with other superstars, reveal the future of the Marvel Universe while giving a sneak peek of stories every fan will be talking about next year, including Ultimate Endgame, the climactic chapter of the new hit Ultimate line. So make sure to stick around for that. And a giveaway on screen right now, you're seeing the cover for Infernal Hulk #1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and then the Avengers Endgame homage for Ultimate Endgame. So this is the two big events they're going to be discussing, unless somebody else is crashing the party too. But seeing those two names on the screen, and those, like I say, right now, the work they've been doing in comics, absolutely masterful. It's just such a fun read to see their level of storytelling come out here, and especially what they're doing with Hulk and the Ultimates line. Like I say, the Ultimates itself, you can't miss.
I am sure we're going to get some people crashing this party. Usually you do, because they usually line it up. I love the fact that it was a few years ago that they started really doing next big thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe away. We even got timelines, which is really cool. So it's always a great event to be at. Always, once again, the giveaway is always huge here. They do something big every year for it. And on top of all that, you're going to find out new things. You know, they're talking about two things right up front, but you're going to find out other things that are going on to take Marvel into the next year. And it's always going to be a good thing. And we'll also be holding our breath for people that we love their work, hopefully showing up because they have big things in the works for Marvel Studios, Marvel Comics over the next year. So,
yeah. But last but certainly not least, Tom, there's a panel going on Sunday. Definitely think some fans need to check out.
That's right. So at 5 o'clock, we're going to be talking about Marvel Comics to this. Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Jumping ahead of your next part.
I got ahead of myself. I pulled a Rich. He was talking about Godzilla earlier.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, we're talking about the Women of Marvel. That's right. The Women of Marvel panel returns to New York Comic Con. Talent from across the Marvel universe assembled to talk about their work, the evolution of the fandom, inspirational characters, and being part of Marvel's 85-year legacy, while teasing what's next in Marvel's women-led titles. Plus, be sure to stay at the end for an exclusive giveaway.
All the giveaways all the time.
Yeah, it's true. You know, Marvel has been doing such a great job by bringing in, women writers, and we get such great perspectives. I know one of the books I'm, covering right now, the all new Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, done by Stephanie Phillips, really does feel like a great fresh take. And the fact that one thing I'm looking forward to, if you haven't picked this one up yet, is how Gwen is dealing in the main 616 universe and how that's going to affect all the other Spider Rogues and so on. So just there alone, that's like, the tip of the iceberg. And with all the other characters that you'll see come out of this, Women of Marvel has always brought, when they do their anthology, so many fantastic, talented writers and artists to these pages. You want to go pick this up. This is a hallmark that Marvel has started to put out, and if this isn't in your collection, you're really, really, truly missing out on some fantastic storytelling, gorgeous, stunning art, and just something just to dig into.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to cap off a weekend. It's a fantastic panel if you've never attended, and Marvel is really coming with a loaded lineup on the comic side of things. I mean, to go back, like, for all the comic stuff is going on, it's an incredible lineup to be a fan with. And it's something that you're really going to have to manage your time with and expect a lot of buzz coming from. Because, like I say, this is a very, very stacked lineup of panels we have that we're going to be attending and covering for Nerd Initiative and just interact with fans about. Because, like I say, there's just such a wide variety of information that's going to be coming out from these panels and just enhancing your fandoms after this.
Are you saying that if you go to a Marvel panel, you should get there in a timely manner?
You would think so. You would definitely think so, because they have a lot more stuff going on too, especially on the TV side of things, which Tom is taking the lead on for these panels. So first up is one that, I mean, we talk about Hall H moments, but Marvel is kind of bringing a little Hall H to the Javits. So let's talk about this, Tom.
So it's an unprecedented meeting of the page to the screen, as Marvel's comic editor-in-chief, C.B. Cebulski, is going to be hosting the Marvel Comics to Screen. He's going to be bringing special guests to explore the journey of Marvel storytelling as it takes from the comic page to the screen, including insider insights and unheard anecdotes. And that's not all. Fans who stick around to the end will receive an exclusive giveaway comic book. Now, with everything that's slated right now coming out in the new Phase 6, we already have Eyes of Wakanda. We've got what's the Marvel Zombies, which we did cover here on Nerd Initiative. You also have coming out Wonder Man.
Well, that's kind of segued into the Saturday up next from Marvel Television and Animation panel.
Yes.
Because that's the big one that's going to be taking place at the Empire stage on Saturday.
Big.
And this is one special guest they're going to be looking forward to behind the scenes of some of Marvel's most anticipated upcoming Disney Plus shows from both television and animation. And I have the Wonder Man graphic up there because I am assuming, this is just an assumption. Yep. They'll have some more information going on with that, because
you know what they say when you assume.
Yes, well, you have to think about what's on the lineup that they have coming up. And we do know that Wonder Man is the next one slated for this year. We do know next year is Daredevil Born Again. Two. We do know there is a Punisher special presentation that is coming.
Is that dropping before or after Brand New Day?
I think it's coming before.
Okay, yeah, because it's all like a one shot, right?
Yeah, it's a one shot episode. So I would imagine we're looking at first quarter for that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then obviously it goes into the next Spider-Man movie, and then whatever's going to go on with Avengers Doomsday. But this is going to be a panel, I think, for fans of the MCU, the cinematic universe. This is now a must attend, because you're going to hear some information about stuff that's coming out that Marvel has been very, very quiet about what they're doing in this next phase.
They tell Tom Holland nothing.
Right. But
this is for good reason.
Well, that's for very good reason. But you think about what's at stake here, and especially they don't want to tip anything off of what's going on unless they're fully committed 100% in. This is what we're going to announce and what we're going to do. So I would imagine you're going to hear a lot about Disney Plus. You're going to hear a lot about the animated stuff coming out. I would not doubt, like I say, this is just my pure speculation. I wouldn't doubt we hear some more about X-Men 97.
Ooh.
Yeah, that should be one of the front.
That's my
guess. We do
guess.
have season 2 coming out. They did promise that.
Yeah. Yes. So if I have to guess, like I said, if we do it locks and leap style, like on the ODPH, the lock, I would say we're going to hear about Daredevil, and I would say Wonder Man. The leap is X-Men 97 or some other project.
I would throw that in the lock too, because we know it's coming. So I think that they're going to definitely talk about it. The leap, I would definitely think would be like the Punisher, due to the fact that we don't have a set in stone date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a leap.
Lock, X-Men 97, Leap, Heroes for Hire.
Oh, interesting.
Don't tease with me
Don't
about
tease.
that. Don't you
But Marvel's not just bringing what's coming.
Mhm.
They're also taking a step back and looking at what was, because that's right, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a reunion, which will feature Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, and Chloe Bennett, will be happening on Saturday, October 11th at 11 a.m. on the main stage.
This is so bittersweet nostalgia for me.
Is it canon?
This is a
reunion.
That would be the question I would ask, because I know that's been debated.
Is it canon?
In my opinion, yes. Oh, you don't want to hear me go on a rant about
I think
this.
it is canon. Why wouldn't it be canon?
Well, I know it's
Reasons.
been debated for reasons, but I will say this. This was one of the first panels I went to, and I did not go for the first year when it was announced Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Coulson Lives and all that, but I went for every other one after. And it was always such a cool experience. We're fortunate enough we got to see the advanced screening of a new episode, and they're not joking when they had S.H.I.E.L.D. agents walking around making sure nothing was.
It's true.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because you don't want to ruin it and post anything online. But it was such a fun panel. Like every time, that cast from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was just amazing, and to see who's coming this time around, I'm excited to see what stories they have to tell, and then you never know. I mean, fingers crossed. I'm hoping maybe an announcement. Maybe we're going to go back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know. I put the karma out there because I love that show so much. Season 4, the best superhero season I think of all time on TV.
Okay, here's another leap for this. If they brought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back, do you think that with what they could possibly do is actually help save the Inhumans in all of Marveldom?
No, I don't think they're going to go near Inhumans.
Okay.
I think that was, in my opinion, they experimented with a lot of properties of characters that are tough to sell for mainstream.
You mean like Deathlock?
Deathlock is like a cult following almost, like
exactly.
Just but Deathlock is a safer risk than Inhumans. Inhumans is a little more complex because of where they are and their powers, and then like that's a tougher sell, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it. All hope for Inhumans went away when they got the rights back for X-Men. That was it. That's why you had Inhumans. You had Inhumans because Marvel didn't own the rights to X-Men. That's why you got them in comics. That's why you got them in a TV show. Now that the X-Men are back and they're back home and they're nice and comfy, cozy, and we're getting big panels for them, you will never see the Inhumans back. You might see them added to the X-Men lineup, but you aren't going to see them as Inhumans.
You won't see them as a show, but you would see. I would say this: if they wanted to do something, depending on what they want to do with Star-Lord,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't doubt we see maybe a Black Bolt cameo if they decide to go that route.
Granted, I'm going to say you're going to see a character like Black Bolt because we have, but I think you're going to start seeing him and other of the Inhumans that people do want to see mixed into the realm of the X-Men, because you can just marry them right in because they're mutants anyways.
Well, I mean, like I say, they can mess around with it,
right.
but I would say this: I don't think they would. I think if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came back, it would be a different vibe.
Oh yeah,
completely. And it's tough to recapture that magic though. But I think this will be one. If you've gone to those panels before, it's a lot of nostalgia. It's going to bring back a lot of great memories. I know for me it is.
It's a magical place.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait to see what they have on tap for that. But I know when that was announced, that was definitely one that raised a lot of happy smiles on a lot of people's faces, and rightfully so. But also, New York has got some other TV stuff going on, Tom. So why don't we talk about what's going on in the land of the Walking Dead?
That's right. AMC is going to be having the Daryl Dixon season 3 panel going on. And trust me, you're going to want to check this out. We were fortunate enough last year to go to the Daryl Dixon press conference, and all the things we were able to learn, about his particular story as he was treading through Europe. And with everything going on, AMC and Shudder are really bringing it, and they do some wonderful panels. You're absolutely going to love it. And again, these, especially when it comes to this type of franchise, you're going to want to get in line early for this one because it will be jam-packed.
Yeah, the Walking Dead fans have really shown up for the season. I know Lauren's been reviewing it for Nerd Initiative. She's been raving about it, and rightfully so. I think they've really found a great groove for Norman Reedus' character, and to see where they're going to eventually take him. it's a fun ride to go on, especially if you're still into The Walking Dead on the live action side of things.
God, how long has that franchise been going now?
Eons.
Seriously, it's like it won't die.
Yeah, it's like a zombie.
Yeah.
Hey.
But next up, though, is one very close to you.
That's right. Coming out 2026 is the year of Star Trek. This is going to be a landmark 60th anniversary. That's right. You know, we have our friend Sean Von Gorman of comics, who did that special cover for the last Starship at IDW. But not only that, next year we're going to have Starfleet Academy coming out. And what else is Star Trek really going to be putting out? You know, right now we only have the one TV series. We have Strange New Worlds. Then we're going to have Starfleet Academy. Lower Decks is killing it at IDW with our friend Tim Sheridan. But what else is in store? How are we going to celebrate the franchise? And where are we going to push it and take it next? The 60th anniversary of Star Trek is going to be happening, and the universe is going to be happening on Saturday at 3:15 up on the Empire stage. Trust me, this is one that I personally have blocked out because I was working my butt off last year and I had some FOMO like you don't know.
Yeah. Well, like there's going to be so many panels covering television too that you don't want to miss. And like I say, the Star Trek one, they've been doing some great stuff at Paramount, so you definitely want to make sure you're watching that.
Funny story is when they did the last season of Discovery, they were the cast that was there, all the talent, like there was 13 of them. It was a very large cast. They never saw their own trailer and they yelled at the production people to play it again. Then they laid it down on the Empire stage just to look up and watch it again.
That's fun.
You know, a lot of the talent in that show loves being in that franchise and loves the fans, loves who they work with, and just loves everything Trek. And that's why I'm so excited for it.
Right. Well, like I say, the fandom's there. It definitely has been for many, many years and many more to come. But last but certainly not least on our panel list, Prime Video, Amazon MGM Studios. Big lineup happening. So, Tom, let's talk about it.
It's going to be another happy day in hell with Has Been Hotel season 2 coming. This is just going to be amazing. There's going to be so many great things happening with Has Been. I can't wait to see if I can get a chance to go down there. But the one that I'm really looking forward to is Cross season 2 at New York Comic Con. We were fortunate enough to be able to be part of the press conference last year. I did the review for season 1, which I got to say was probably one of the best iterations I have seen of Alex Cross in a very, very long time. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen this show yet, make sure you binge this before New York, or just binge it before season 2 comes out. The show is amazing. The characters are strong. The characterizations are heavy. The themes are just, they shake you to the core. And when you have a copycat serial killer of serial killers, it is creepy as hell, because Ryan Eggold, coming off of New Amsterdam with this creepy pony boy blonde hair, you instantly know when he hits the screen, it's like, you're the bad guy. You know, there's just so much great stuff coming out from Amazon Prime. You're definitely going to check this one out. You got the Mighty Nine also coming.
Yeah, Critical Role has a monster panel kicking off on Thursday at I believe it's the Empire stage.
Yes, it is. Critical Role, everything, you know, D&D related. I know Kat is chomping at the bit for this one. She does get a +3 to her rolls anytime she talks about this. So I cannot wait to see what her article is going to be about this. Amazon is just putting out some great content, and trust me, you want to follow along here on Nerd Initiative for all of our great reviews. Just like we said, we've got Daryl Dixon. We've been doing Gen V, Peacemaker. I've already called the highest of dibs on Has Been Hotel, and trust me, no one's going to fight me on this one. And if they do,
I'm busy with my stuff, so I can't.
I got a lot of stuff in the works that is.
I do comics, man. I do comics.
I just like Comic-Con. I got a lot of the things that are secret currently. So
it's my inner theater kid. But there's so much stuff going on, you know, between the collectibles that we talked about last night, between the TV shows, but more importantly, it is New York Comic-Con, and we are bringing all that comic info to you.
We're bringing the smoke.
Yes, indeed. We're bringing you all the coverage you need to know about. Overall, New York Comic Con 2025 is looking jam-packed from bell to bell. This is going to be something that fans are going to definitely want to check out and really savor as being fans. Like I say, in these times, you know, an escape into your fandoms is always welcome. And this is going to be the place to be. This is going to be shutting down pop culture the entire weekend. And a lot of coverage is going to be coming out from Nerd Initiative. So you want to make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and all the social media accounts, because you don't want to miss what's going on from the eyes of the home of pop culture positivity. Before we get out of here, What is your one tip for everybody going to New York this weekend? Starting with you, Tom.
Be kind.
All right.
Period. There's so many people that are going to be at that show. You're going to have cosplayers who have low visibility. You're going to have people who've never been there before, who's just going to be in such culture shock. Be kind and be aware.
Fair enough. Rich?
I know this doesn't sound serving to Nerd Initiative, but I will say stay out of your phones for a little bit and talk to people in line. Some of the best interactions you will have will be while you're waiting in line for panels, while you're waiting in line for autographs, while you're waiting in line for photo ops, while you're waiting in line to buy merch, whatever it is. There's going to be lines, I promise you that much, but the amount of amazing conversations and people that I've been able to talk to while waiting in a line for these things is a highlight of my con going every single year. So I'm not saying don't be on your phone at all. I'm just saying so every once in a while, put it down, look at the person in front of you because you're in the line for the same fandom and find out what they think and what they're getting to. And trust me, you won't regret it.
Oh my God, do you like Batman too?
Exactly.
It's one of the best stories I have with Dre Driven. And that's how we met him. And now he's part of our extended family here at the ODPH. But to kind of piggyback off what Tom was saying too, I know one member of our bullpen is always screaming, make sure deodorant. For the weekend.
You can afford a ticket, you can afford deodorant.
Yep. So I'll definitely put that as the honorable mention. But no, I will say this. In this day and age of comics, there's a lot to go and become familiar with. It's, such an amazing time of creativity and imagination. My recommendation, along with what Rich and Tom is saying, is go find a publisher, go find an artist or writer that you don't know about, and go check out their stuff. And really have that interaction with them because they're just as excited to see you as you are of them. And that could really spark a new fandom, a new favorite character for you. And that's probably the best thing you can do at con because you're going to run into so many amazing people that are there for the same reason you are, to have a good time and enjoy being a fan. But I can't recommend going down to Artist Alley enough and really, talking to a lot of independent creators, talking to artists that you might have seen on a book here and there. Just go up, talk to them. They're going to be having prints there. Then they're more than happy to go speak with you and really make that connection with you. There's some of the best experiences that I've had at Comic-Con prior to being pressed when I was a little nobody, if you want to, put it like in that terms, of just going and talking to them one-on-one, whoever it was. And now that I've transitioned into being press, it's been a fun experience because they're like, I remember way back when we were talking about that book and I was like, yeah, I go, and now I get to review it for a regular basis. So, it's kind of those interactions that really just enhance the fandom. And it's just such an escape in this time and age that we need. So definitely make sure you go live it up. All the information that you heard here was from the publishers and NewYorkComicCon.com. And if you're going to the show, can't stress enough, go download the app, put your schedules in, and make sure to set those reminders so you get to the panels early, that you don't miss what you heard here. And if you need more information on that, Nerd Initiative has you covered. Hashtag NI@NYCC all weekend. And make sure you're subbed up to everything going on here at Nerd Initiative, from the YouTube channel, from the Facebook, from the Instagram, wherever you're following Nerd Initiative on. Our team is going to be covering New York Comic Con like nobody else. So make sure you're locked and loaded for that.
And also pay attention because we will have a recap when we come back from New York. And will this be the year that Rich gets his picture taken with Bruce Leroy? Oh, stay tuned. It may or may not happen. We'll find out.
And don't forget, if you do see some of us, we may have stickers and we may have lanyards as well. So definitely come up and say hi because we're happy to meet you.
Yes, we are. So
Except Rich.
Oh, hey, listen.
But regardless, we just want to say, if you're going to New York Comic Con this weekend, enjoy the show, be respectful, and just remember, kindness is the true punk rock. So be a rock star this weekend. On behalf of Tom, Rich, and myself, thank you for checking out this very special edition of Turn a Page. And we'll end it with a little bit of a twist this week, because when you're at New York Comic Con and you have a great issue in your hand that you either brought or you picked up at Artist Alley, and you see somebody struggling to find something, tell them to have a recommendation ready, because here you go, and tell them to turn that page. We'll see you next time.
I'm out in Manhattan.
This program is powered by Fantasyverse, where manga, comics, and more collide. Check their website out, because it's not a dream. It's Fantasyverse. The content you've just watched is part of the Nerd Initiative Network. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out nerdinitiative.com, the home of pop culture positivity.